Welcome to Livestream. Sabotage. God, that gets me so hyped. I'll tell you what. Welcome to the stream. It's good to be with you this Monday evening. We are having a little bit of this is the lime. What is it? Ginger lime? The ginger lime infused vodka from the St. Croix vodka that I have sometimes, in case you were wondering. And today's watch is it's not the Militato, it's the Millifortic. I can't hang on. It's the Millifortic, which is like, there's these three Chinese companies, Militato, Millifortic, and Baltony, and they're all like make the exact same product, except it's not really the same product. It's, you know, that kind of thing that Chinese companies do. This is a fantastic watch. Very similar to the khaki Murph. Very simple field watch vibes. It's my daily beater. It's the watch that I wear when I'm going to go do yard work or something and I don't want to worry about beating it up. It was about $100. It's probably more than it now because everything is more expensive. Okay, Grandpa. And on a NATO strap. Simple, comfortable. Yeah. There you go. I only talk about it on stream. Well, number one, just because I think it's cool. But number two, I'm hoping that one of these AliExpress watch companies takes notice of me and starts sending me free watches. That'd be great. That'd be great. Here we go. Here we go, Blunty. We're gonna do a little bit of a. We're gonna do a little bit. This is gonna be for the like for the live stream clips channel, except no one will, it doesn't get as many views, but it's worth a try. Let's see.
All those, yeah, those videos do terrible. Any video that's not FPV related is like 10% of it.
Yeah, but I just, see, look, this is a homage of a Zin. This very nicely made, very in $139, nicely made, inexpensive, simple, basic. This is the one I have, the NH. M059, except mine is from the sister company. Very similar. Millifortic. It says the same thing. Oh, this is Millifortic, not Militato. What's the difference? That is the exact watch I have. I never hear of Millifortic, though. Militato. Are you saying that no one wants to see that content, Plenty, and I should move on? Hang on, though. Forget that I mentioned Millifortic. I'm sure you're fine. But Militato, look at this. These Zin homages are fantastic. Oh my goodness, you guys! If you just want to, do you know how good Chinese watches have gotten? They've gotten so good. Some of them are bad, but some of them are so good. I got this one. Anyway, yeah, okay. So I have to put it out on the main channel in order to get anyone to notice and send me free watches. Is what you're telling me, Plenty?
Yes.
Damn it! I could probably get away with
that. When they see 430 views, I don't think it's going to be very impressive.
Well, the thing is, if I put it out on the main channel, even though the majority of people don't give a crap, it'll still get like 10 or 20,000 views, maybe 10,000. There you go. Wow, what a great way to get just. Let's put this person in timeout for 24 hours and see if they. What a fantastic way to get yourself timed out. That's really something. Wow. Yeah, that's not how to do it. Okay. Let's talk about FPV. That's what we're really here for. We're really here for FPV. I want to start with a discussion that we're having in the Discord, which relates to capacitors and TVS diodes. Someone posted this video from Chris Rosser. Is this a new video or is this an old video?
Chris from the future here. I have to start this video by showing you the mother of all ESC voltage spikes.
5 months ago.
Huge thank you to Luke Maximo Bell for allowing me to share this clip.
Is it going to light on fire? It is, isn't it? Oh, it seems to be doing pretty well so far. She did. She did. And the reason I'm interested in this topic is because, number one, anytime Chris Rosser puts out content, Chris Rosser does great scientific content. And there's a lot of sort of myths and mystery and confusion about what capacitors do and why ESCs fail and how capacitors protect them. For example, I would argue, and obviously Chris knows what he's talking about, but I'm just a dog on the internet. I would argue that more ESCs fail due to heat buildup than voltage spikes. But I'm sure Chris gets into it. I'm also curious about his conclusions related to TVS diodes versus capacitors. I have seen test results that show that TVS diodes don't do anything really. They basically, I mean, obviously they do something, but they have very little effect compared to just doing a capacitor, and they basically aren't really worth your time. And I'm very curious if Chris had that same conclusion. No capacitor and a TVS diode. TVS diodes basically chop off the top.
Diode in place with no capacitor.
Capacitors
so you can see that
just
that's
smooth
pretty
everything
similar
out.
to what we were getting when running 6S voltage with no capacitor and no diodes. We also see spikes to 29 volts on the motor phases. When we move to braking, we see a spike up to 30.5 volts, but you can see that the spike is no longer a sort of nice decaying sinusoidal spike. We now have this sort of weird little shape here, this little step. Now, obviously, it's not a perfect chop of the top of the peak, like I showed in my drawing, but as you'll see, this already has the TVS diode starting to work. You can see that it helps
did have an effect.
Cut the spike, but it's still reaching about 30.5
Okay,
volts. So it's
there
a lot
you go.
higher than what we have with the capacitor. And we see an even bigger spike on the motor phase, because obviously the motor phase can spike up even a little bit higher than what we see on the battery. Braking.
Okay, so that got me thinking about this. I'm going to watch this video later, and I recommend you watch, 30 minutes of Chris Rosser talking about capacitors. I'll probably watch it at 1.75 speed. But it seems like it may at least begin to support my previous belief, based on data that other people had gathered, that TVS diodes have a small effect, but basically if you run a capacitor, you'll be fine. The TVS diode is not really making that big of a difference. And then we got to talking about these beautiful things, which are designed to help you solder a capacitor easier. It's just a tiny little PCB with a hole in it. You pass the capacitor through it, and it just makes it easier to solder the leg, get a good solder joint. I have no problem soldering wires to a capacitor leg, but it's a little bit fiddly because the leg is so thin, and it just tends to be a little bit messy and fiddly and fragile. And and I found out, apparently, these are made by Joseph Dahari, who has been on my Discord forever. And I said to him, Joseph, you mind? I just recently bought like 13 boxes of these things. Spent like $95 on capacitor caps. I just want to make sure I had spares. I was like, bro, can you hook me up? So, yeah, Crom in the Discord said, I'm a TVS diode guy. I don't know if he was serious or what, but if you only run TVS diodes and don't run capacitors, I think you're not getting really hardly any protection. If that works for you, it works for you. But yeah. So
Can I just
capacitor.
say,
Yeah, Blunty.
There's a lot of people in chat varying questions around capacitors. I just want to say in general, okay, the idea that we're talking about here, as far as like people are asking about distance, like we've talked before about XT30 and XT60 can have a cap next to them and then it goes to your drone. Like we've seen that before. Like quite often that was how it used to work all the time. Currently, it works more like often we put the cap as close as we can to the flight controller, to the power source, right? To the ESC, like
To the
wherever we
ESC.
can get the cap.
Yeah.
Like ideally you get it as close as you can. So the reason for that is because you're lowering the impedance, which lowers the amount of time it takes for the capacitor to respond to the noise. So that means you're going to catch more noise.
Right.
But that means you have to have noise to catch. Okay, so the most important thing to understand about a capacitor is that it only does something if you have noise to clean up. right? So it's going to do better, or it'll be necessary depending on the noise you have. Like there's a lot of people whose build is very clean. The gyros are not noisy. The board was designed properly. Everything's properly dampened, and you're not going to have a ton of noise for the capacitor to filter. It's going to do way less work. You might not even need a capacitor on that build. Some builds are going to visibly make noise, shake. The motors will pulse. I've seen it happen in person until you put a little cap as close as you can to the power source. So it literally just depends on the build, the electronics you have, like all the different pieces of the components that come together for your build. The reason we say put a cap as close as you can to the power source, and we talk about things like these gap caps, is because it makes it so that any build will be covered.
Yeah.
Right? That's the idea.
Yeah. So again, for those who maybe need a little bit of an overview, capacitors filter noise. When you think of it like a shock absorber for a car, if your car didn't have shock absorbers and you went over a big bump, blah, like the car would take a hit, you would feel the shock, the car might be damaged. Shock absorber, you go over a bump and it just, boom, it smooths it out. They do that for electrical spikes. And quadcopters have a ton of electrical spikes because the ESC is constantly turning on and turning off voltage, current, going to the motor phases, right? And that every time you start and stop current, you get voltage spikes. So quadcopters inherently, anything with a brushless motor, inherently has a ton of voltage spikes, and a capacitor helps solve that. ESCs have some capacitors on board, but it's not nearly enough. If you ever buy like a 200 amp APD ESC, they come with capacitors. I don't know if they're pre-installed, but they're like, it's not optional. And some of the big airplane ESCs that you'll buy, they'll come with capacitors pre-installed, right? Capacitors are necessary to filter that noise. Some people are asking, are they absolutely necessary? Do you need one on every build? And as Blenty pointed out, if your build doesn't have a lot of noise, you may get away without having a capacitor. We see this most often with the very small builds. Like nobody puts an electrolytic capacitor on a 65 millimeter whoop. And the answer is that your 1S voltage, you have tiny, tiny motors, and you just don't have a lot of noise. Also, the sort of built-in capacitance of the ESC may just be sufficient. I think as you get up to about a 3-inch to 5-inch, that's where capacitors start to become really mandatory. I'm not sure. There are people who build 5-inch drones, don't run capacitors, and they get away with it. But you don't know if you're going to be one of those people. And the other thing is, you may have a very clean build, and then as soon as you bend a prop, suddenly it's very noisy, and you get a lot of electrical noise, and you fry a motor. I would, certainly on everything from 5 inches and up, I would have capacitors added, and probably down to about 3 inches if there's room on it, which sometimes there just isn't. As far as a TVS diode does, a TVS diode, instead of just smoothing out, it sort of chops off the top of the voltage spike. But as Chris, and someone in the Discord told me, Chris Rosser came to kind of the same conclusion. There was an old RC Groups thread way back in the day where somebody tested caps and TVS diodes and found the TVS diode just didn't have that much effect on the noise. And I'm being told that Chris Rosser has a similar conclusion. So if TVS diodes make you feel good, there's no harm in running them, but it doesn't seem to be very much benefit either. So, yeah. Great. And if you're going to put those capacitors on, buy those capacitor caps. They're super nice. Let's see here. Crom. We'll give one more to Crom. Crom is the newest moderator on the FPV Know-It-All Discord. So give him an extra little bit of attention. And just thank you for stepping up into that role. Crom's asking about my lighting setup. My lighting setup is... not that sophisticated. These are two Neewer LED panels. I'll show you them. I'll try to find the exact one. It's something like this. It's something like this. It's a bicolor panel, so you can adjust the color temperature. The thing I don't like about it is that I can't find the control panel, so you can't see the control panel. You can kind of see it in this picture. There are two knobs, one knob for the yellow and one for the white LEDs. So if you want to adjust the color temperature, you turn one up or one down, but then you can't adjust the brightness and the temperature independently, which is kind of annoying. So what I have to do is I get a gray card, and there's an exposure app for your phone that shows you, like, it's basically like a light meter for your phone. It uses your phone's camera. And I put the gray card down on my desk, and I aim the phone at it, and I measure the brightness and the color temperature, and then I slowly adjust the light, and I turn the light up, and it gets more yellow, and then I turn the other one down, right, and I slowly tweak the brightness and the color temperature until it's kind of annoying. I really wish there's another version of this light that has separate brightness and color temperature settings, and that's probably what I would. Also, there's a version that actually has a remote, which is nice because then you could adjust the stuff while you're looking at it without having to reach behind it. But these are the ones that I have just mounted on the wall. Just two of them. It's a very, very unsophisticated lighting setup as far as lighting goes. So, but it's not too expensive. And the key thing about it is, nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. There we go. The key thing about it is, like, I don't have the option to have an actual video light, like, behind my desk, right? My lights have to be mounted on the wall because my desk faces the wall, and that's where my camera is and my computer is. And likewise back there. So it had to be something that would mount on the wall. And so that's why I ended up with this situation. Anyway, hopefully that answered your question. Yeah. Bennett asks, I live in Canada, so in the winter I can't fly outside. How could I get better flying indoors with my Air 75? There are some, like Liftoff Micro. Liftoff Micro Drones is a tiny drone whoop simulator. See, I almost said the TW word, but I caught myself. It is a whoop simulator where you fly micro drones, including indoors, in houses, and so forth. The answer is always either stick time or simulator, right? Maybe spend some time flying in liftoff micro drones to get better at flying indoors. If only because it will try to accurately simulate the physics of flying a micro drone and give you nice tight environments where you can practice making those changes on that scale. Yeah. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. Would it be a bad idea to buy DJI goggles? Okay, well, I don't want to spend the whole live stream talking about DJI. We already did that for the last 3 live streams. But my advice right now is that DJI's future in the United States is uncertain. It seems like you will be able to continue to get DJI gear, but it will be more difficult. And there may be long periods of time where you can't get it and or it may become more expensive. Right now, for example, DJI Air units have been out of stock for a long time. There was a bunch of them that came in stock briefly, sold out immediately. Talking about the 04 Pro, by the way, not the 04 Lite. Plenty reminded me we need to make that distinction. The 04 Pro has been out of stock for a long time, which is the one you want, obviously. And then now Flywoo has started selling 04 Pros, but they ship them to you in a Flywoo box. So if there's a DJI band, like, it'll slip through, I guess is the thinking. I don't know about you, but I'm impatient. I need this thing. I want to go buy it. And then it comes to my house and it's here. It's here. And I get it. Hopefully tomorrow. But if not tomorrow, then maybe next week. But what really drives me freaking crazy would be if I was trying to build a drone and I needed a video transmitter, and it was out of stock, and I just had no idea when it was going to be able to get it again. Or I order it, and then 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, maybe it comes. Or I don't know. That would drive me crazy. So that's the main reason I would hold off on buying DJI today, is the potential future where that's where you're at. So... Oh my God, that's great. DJI is great equipment, great performance. Yeah. If you're outside the U.S., send it. Go for it. Okay. Got one here from Cloby FPV. If I were to get started in FPV and wanted to spend as little as possible, but wanted to get something with better image quality than analog, what would you recommend? As little money as possible, but with better image quality than analog? The thing is, all of the other options are kind of the same price. HD0, Walksnail, and DJI are pretty similar in price.
There's technically something that fits in this
I know.
slide.
I know. Go ahead.
So this is literally why Caddx made the Ascent system. So this is literally the reason Caddx made Ascent. So
Is that
it
it?
is worth understanding that like there is a solution here. It's not totally out yet. They have they've announced the standalone goggles in VR or VTX. I feel like you should at least know it exists. I'm not saying it's good.
That's fair. I thought you were going to say OpenIPC. I swear, I hadn't actually gotten to Ascent yet. Yeah, the Walksnail Ascent system is a new low-cost FPV system from Caddx, Walksnail, whatever, and it is truly inexpensive. $45 for a VTX and camera. That's pretty gosh dang impressive. Currently, they are not yet selling the goggles. Can you buy the goggles? Oh, can you actually buy them? Buy now. You sure as heck can. Delivery December 5th through 11th. You can buy the goggles. Well, holy shoot.
You should also. They're slightly cheaper on Caddx's website, but I don't know what shipping differences will be or discounts on sale right now because you can put coupons on AliExpress.
Yeah. So the Ascent system is inexpensive, but it is brand new. It's very unproven. And when I tested it, the performance was okay for a beginner who's flying very slowly, or a person who maybe is flying an airplane up in the sky and not in proximity to obstacles, but the latency was pretty poor, and I did not find it suitable for more even moderately aggressive flying. Nevertheless, that is a lower cost option that is better than analog. That's true. Would I recommend it? It's so new. If you just want to throw some money away and try something out, maybe. Honestly, just buy good analog gear and just stick with analog. You're not saving that much money. Maybe you kind of are. $50 for the VTX, $45 for the VTX and camera. That's cheaper than analog, honestly. $200 for the goggles. That's on par with a cheap set of analog goggles. It's the video quality is definitely better than analog. You just got to deal with the latency, but some people are going to be happy with that. Yeah. All right. See, I'm glad you're here, Blunty. For many reasons. Let's see. Oh, okay. Skyzone 030 with the Walksnail VRX or Walksnail Goggles L. What's going to give a better experience? Skyzone 030. Which goggle is that? Oh, that's the 040. Yeah, the 030 is an older one. Ah, that's a tough one. So this is an older goggle. We don't know what the latency is on the HDMI input. Sometimes the latency on the HDMI input on a goggle is substantial. 600 by 400 OLED resolution display. I'll tell you what, though. I found the goggles L to be very uncomfortable to wear. So based on the comfort of the goggles alone, I would probably take the 030. Yeah, I would probably take the 030 just based on the comfort. But the 600 by 400, you're going to be feeding a 720p image into a 600 by 400. 1920 by 720, 1280 by 720. You're going to be downscaling the crap out of it. And 600 by 400. Is that widescreen? I think it is. Yeah. So I don't know, man. But probably I would do what you say there, the Sky 030 with the standalone receiver. Nice thing is, if you later upgrade to a better analog goggle, you can keep that standalone receiver. We've got some super chats here. Let's take a couple super chats. Thank you to eCast23 Offroad for your donation. Let's see if you actually asked a question. eCast says Deep Space Seeker 35, best drone I've ever flown. Fair enough. Thank you for your donation. No one is gonna save you. That's dark. New to FPV and your Betaflight series helped me greatly. Thank you, sir. Thank you. No one is gonna save you. Thank you for the donation. Andrew Kennedy, 5702. Thank you for $5 Australian dollars. Dollary dues. No. No. My Mob 704 DJI from out of the box can barely stay in the air. Very low power. I checked Blue Jay and it's set to 1S. Where in Blue Jay do you set the battery voltage? Am I safe to change it to 2S? Where in Blue Jay do you set the battery voltage? I'm missing that. I don't think you set the battery voltage in the ESC. I could be wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of things. Just ask my wife. Quality joke. Why does so much? Someone asked, why does so much boomer humor involve hating your wife? I wouldn't know. I'm not a boomer. Yeah, this is a 2S drone. Well, there's your freaking problem. You have a 2S drone. You're running it on a 1S battery. Is that it? Or did you run it on a 2S battery? If you ran it on a 2S battery, I don't know what in the ESC settings you're talking about changing it from 1S to 2S.
There's a setting in Blue Jay that does that. It just changes the power protection stuff. Typically, you just run it at 2S plus no matter what. Gotcha.
So it's just to keep you from frying your ESC. I knew if I ranted about it long enough, you would come through and tell me.
Yeah, it's like an extra protection thing.
Okay.
I think that's all it does. I don't know. Sometimes some of those settings are a little mysterious, but that's my understanding.
Well, it sounds like this is a 2S drone, so you probably should set that to 2S plus, unless HD0 put it on 1S because they know that the ESC will fry. But the bottom line is...
It should be... Sorry, just to be clear, if you go 2S plus, it should be the opposite. It should be more protected because it's expecting higher voltage. That's my understanding of how it works. It's
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So probably the reason it's underpowered is not because of that setting. Probably the reason it's underpowered is because your battery is crap. You're running it on a 2S battery, I assume. If you're running it on a 1S, that's why. Is it just underpowered? I've never flown that one. Is it just underpowered for the weight? 10,000 kV on 2S is fine. It should be fine. Yeah.
Chrome points out a good thing. Did you happen to flash 96 kilohertz?
Oh,
if you did that could cause a little bit of an issue.
Yeah. Safety settings. I haven't seen that. Chrome says always run 2S plus. That's a new setting. I mean, I don't know when they added that. I haven't seen that setting. I haven't been in Blue Jay in a while, though. Race FPV says, mine flies fine on a decent 2S LiPo. Okay, so the drone is not designed wrong. I wouldn't think so. Happy Model usually does a pretty good job there. So, yeah. Can barely stay in the air. I think the 96 kilohertz was really good on some 1S whoops to give longer flight times. Significantly increased flight times on some, but
That's bad enough that I think Unreality has a point. Just make sure you don't have your props on upside down. I'm not sure if it's possible in that drone, but if it is,
That's a great idea.
That could definitely happen.
That's a great idea. Did you put the props on upside down? That would do it. All right. Well, but Blinty, he's in Australia. They all put their props on upside down over there. Like 2 of those syllables had a half decent accent. The rest of them were a complete mess. I'm gonna get a voice coach and get coached on how to do an Australian accent. I always feel like I've got an Australian accent in me, but when I actually try and let it out, it doesn't work right. No. Thank you for $20 from Jakester142. I have an issue with OSD on DJI Goggles V2 and Vista with WTFOS on Betaflight 4.5. No issues when I flash 2025.12. Well, it sounds like you should flash 2025.12. I don't have any OSD. I flash with analog and digital builds. All the MSP settings are correct. If I flash back to 4.5, OSD comes back. Oh, I see. Betaflight 4.5, no issues. When I flash 2025.12, okay, so here's what we can conclude. If it works on 4.5, you can conclude that your wiring is correct. You can conclude that your WTFOS setting, your MS, all the things in the goggles in the air unit are correct. You can conclude that it's Betaflight configuration. That's the issue. And the settings should be the same. Are you loading the preset or are you manually setting it in the ports tab? You should definitely load the preset because there are some CLI options that need to be set that just going to the ports tab won't do. But if it works in 4.5, it should work in 2025.12. So that's what I would do. Don't copy the CLI. Go to the presets tab, load the O3 OSD preset or VTX preset, whichever it is, and make sure you select the right UART, and it should work. Andrew Kennedy says it's a brand new 2S battery. Props on upside down. Did he check that one? That's interesting that you say that. It's odd that his PC screen capture seems to be a higher FPS than the desk cam. That's interesting that you say that because I am sending 29.97 FPS to YouTube. So you should see 30 you should not see higher than 30 frames per second no matter what. But there you go.
Is it one of those things where you're like doing 60 versus 29.97, so you're getting like a double
like
frame,
a
one frame? Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. My monitor is at 60. OBS is at 29.97. I doubt. I have no. My desk cam looks halved. You're choppy, my boy. My desk cam looks halved. My desk cam is at 180 degree shutter angle. f2.0 plus 1.3. I don't know what the shutter speed is. I can't see the shutter speed because it's set to shutter angle. So, well, if it's 180 degree shutter angle, it's 29.97. My desk cam is at 29.97 with 180 degree shutter angle and the shutter speed. So it's the exact same frame rate. I don't know. I think you guys are imagining things. Anyway. What's the best alternative to DJI when it comes to digital systems? Walksnail. Walksnail has always been, we have DJI at home. By that I mean that Walksnail has very similar technical framework to DJI. It uses retransmissions. It uses MP4 or H264, H265, I think it's H265 encoding, compression So Walksnail is clearly following in DJI's footsteps. I try to word that very carefully because if people ask, what's the best alternative to DJI? You could say, well, maybe it should be HD0, maybe it should be analog. But if you're asking for, if I can't get DJI and I want DJI, what will give me the closest to DJI experience? Like this watch, which is not a Hamilton Murph. It's a Chinese, but it's giving me a similar experience. Then it's Walksnail. Curious your thoughts on Nick FPV's Ether archetype drone. Thank you for $5. Fenrir. Ether, archetype. Well, I'll give you my thoughts. My first thought is, looks like a drone frame. Now I have to, I'll try and notice what makes this different. I noticed that this is not a standard standoff. It's a square standoff, which means this is a proprietary part that I'm not going to be able to just buy off of Amazon or whatever, which annoys me. The finishing on this metal looks very nice. This makes me wonder if this is sintered, if this is some kind of 3D printing process. The surface makes me wonder that. It doesn't look like it's like traditionally milled, but maybe it has a finished surface or something. Let's see here. 5mm arms give it a solid planted feel in the air. Yeah, I don't know what that means. That sentence annoys me and pisses me off that someone wrote that sentence. Thicker arms. What does it mean to have a solid planted feel in the air? You're in the air. How are you solid and planted in the air? And then the thickness of the arms doesn't make you have a more solid planted feel, even if I knew what that was. Let's see here. I like the 3D print on the back. Very versatile. I like when you put the if you're going to have a bulkhead XT60, when you put it in a print out the back instead of in the top plate. It gives it a little bit of give, and it also means that you don't have to take up space in the back of the drone for the XT60 and the XT60 wires. The XT60 wires pass through here, but then the bulk of the connector is here out the back. I think this is a great way to do it. I'm a big fan of that. This is clearly 3D printed, but this also looks like, it doesn't look like FDM. It looks like SLA printing, which I'm curious what filament, well, it's not a filament. I'm curious what resin they used. It looks like a very high level of finishing on some of these parts. We can do 4-inch and 5-inch, 4.5-inch. I like a 4-inch. I think a 4-inch is a nice place to be. The weakness of 4 inches has always been the motors. That by the time you get up to a 4-inch prop, some of the motors, and that this isn't as true as much as it used to be. It used to be that on 4-inch drones you had like 2004 motors with 2mm shafts, and you put a 4-inch prop on it, and it breaks the motors pretty easily. Whereas you could have motors that were beefier relative to the size and weight of the prop down at the 3-inch and even 3.5-inch. I used to say 4 inches are fun to fly, but you might as well just fly 5-inch. That's not as true as it used to be. Good camera mounting, very versatile. $5mm arms, sure. Ooh, 3D print your own replacements. Big fan of that. These are beautiful prints. It's got to be, the front end has to be milled and then like electroplated or something. The front end can't be. No one's doing that kind of printing at scale. These are hexagonal standoffs. That's nice. Not maybe I was misreading. I must be. It looks square in this picture. It looks like a. Can I get a side-on view? No. Okay. Is it a split deck design? Let's look at the bill. Oh, here, can I see here? Yeah. Split deck design. No, that's not true. This looks like it goes all the way to the front. No, that's wrong. It's a split deck design. I can see it here. We've got the back plate and the top plate, or the front plate. It's solid. Like, this is taking a lot of the like core ideas that are just standard these days, like split deck design, replaceable arms, etc. Got some good 3D prints, versatile 3D prints. Holds lots of different antennas. I love this. I love this tail print. I'm gonna steal this tail print. I would get this tail print, and oh, there we go. And I would use it on other builds. Assuming it fits, or I would modify it for sure. That's a great design. As far as the frame goes, it looks okay. It looks good. There's not a ton of innovation these days in frames. I like the way the front mounts to the plates. And, protects the camera. Metal front. Yeah. The frame itself is they're very sort of like iterations on a theme these days. And this is a fine iteration on what has become the sort of standard theme for freestyle frames. Thank you, Drew Markwith, for a $5 super chat. Let's see if Drew's got a question here. No. Okay, great. Thank you for your donation, Drew. All right. We are caught up on the super chats. And Blenty, the YouTube window crashed, so if YouTube hasn't been updating, that's why I just refreshed it. Oh, how much was it? I didn't even look at the price. Jeez. Right? Come on, Bardwell. $114. It's hardly budget, but these days you see more and more frames in that price range. So it's very distinctive in terms of how it looks. It's very nice. I don't know if I'd spend $114 on it, especially because it's going to break. They all break. Andrew Kennedy says, in a nutshell, bought a brand new Mob 704 DJI, used brand new GNB 450/550 batteries, changed 0 settings, went to fly, and it can barely keep itself in the air. Props are incorrect. I would have to go back to Happy Model and say, hey, something's wrong with this drone you sold me then. Here's the thing, guys. If you buy a bind and fly drone and out of the box it's effed up, and you're like, well, I could change these settings and fix it. That's fine. Like, I get it. Sometimes I want to fix but if it comes out of the box, it should work. It should work. So, like, go back to the manufacturer and be like, your shit doesn't work. Give me a new one. I don't know. What do you think about running the analog Crux 3.5 with a 1550 milliamp hour battery? I feel like 1550 is pretty heavy for a 3.5 inch. It probably will fly okay. I assume that's a 4S 1550, right? I've flown a 3.5 inch with up to a 4S 1300 and it was okay. But I think they're better down at 1000 to 1100. Or maybe even as low as 850. I wouldn't go much below 850. When I think about a 3-inch to 3.5 inch drone, around 850 to 1000 milliamp hours is like this for a 4S is like the sweet spot for the battery. So 1550 is very heavy. I think it's going to fly badly, and I think it's going to be much, much more likely to break in a crash because of that extra weight. So I don't recommend it. I don't think it's a good idea. Do you think bans similar to the DJI one will spill over to Chinese drone components like Beta FPV, etc.? No, I don't think so. I don't think any of those companies are on the government's radar in any meaningful way. DJI is only on the radar because they're the 500-pound gorilla. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's likely. And if it does, they'll just change their name. Like, again, not to make it all about watches. This company, there you got, look. You know how Chinese companies are. You know how Chinese companies are. They knock one down. They just start another company with a different name. And they make the same freaking product. Now, these are, as far as I can tell, two distinct and separate companies. But you start poking around, there's a lot of cases where they make the same gosh dang product. It looks identical. It looks like it came out of the same factory. And so, if one of these companies was like, oh no, we're out of business. Oh, guess what? Right? Oh, we're a new company now. I don't know. Anyway, maybe I didn't make the best example of it, but if Beta FPV got banned, they would just become Alpha, Beta, Gamma FPV. All right, they just change their name, be a different company. I've heard that the HD0 Goggles 2 are a bit more power hungry than the Goggles 1. Do you guys think a 2S lithium ion like the All-Line 4800 milliamp hour will suffice? I can tell you, I run my HD0 goggles off of a homemade 21700 5000 milliamp hour pack 4S. So very comparable to the pack that you're proposing, 4800 milliamp hour. And I get about 4 to 5 hours of runtime off of them. To be fair, I'm also running a screen. So I would think off of a 5000 milliamp hour 4S, you would get about 5 hours of runtime off the HD0 Goggles too. That seems like plenty to me. Why does the HD0 system not let the OSD through when a camera is not working? Makes it hard troubleshooting a bad VTX or bad camera. Kilo Foxtrot, you may be thinking of the DJI or the Walksnail system where the OSD is part of a separate data feed. So the DJI system, and I know this because all the way back to the V2 goggles when WTFOS rooted and hacked the V2 goggles, they found out that there's the main data stream which carries the video data, and there is a separate protected data stream, very low throughput, that is used for maintenance, telemetry, acknowledgements, and so forth. And my guess is, and this is just a guess, that the OSD data is sent in that separate data stream, separate from the video. And that means that when the video is not working, the OSD still gets through. HD0 doesn't work like that. Now, how does it work? I don't know. They encode the OSD in the video stream. So if there is no video stream, there is no OSD. And that's the short version.
I assumed he meant like analog, but same diff.
Oh. Yeah, okay, fair. Same diff. It is interesting, though, because I've been using HD0 and have had situations where the OSD hangs up or the characters don't update. So it is, maybe that was also times when there were sparkles on screen and some of the video data got lost too. Maybe that explains it. I'm sorry. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Exant Orca V2 frame kit. I'm sorry. That's my color. You can't have that color. That's my color. This is illegal. I'm going to sue. I'm going to sue this company for my trademark infringement or something. I've never been more outraged in my life. I guess it's a little bit darker. No, I'm not. No. You. Blau, Schwarz, Lila. Oh, Lila is kind of nice, actually. You take Lila off. That is unacceptable. Stop selling. You can't sell purple unless I insist on 50 cents per frame sold for using the color purple. It does look like my frame a lot. I like it. Oh, $137. Go to hell. That's not. Wait, how much is my frame? $103. That's still pretty expensive. $137. Jesus Christ. My frame is also too expensive. I would just like to say. I should just tell GetFPV, what do I make per frame? I don't actually think it's that much. Just reduce the price. I mean, that would be silly because that's not how things work. Like, the price would go down, then it would come back up, and then everybody would make the same amount of money, except I would make no money. That's how it would go. I'm a little bit annoyed at the price. I mean, it is what it is. Like, somebody from GetFPV is going to call me and be like, well, you see, this is why it is what it, you know, this costs money. This is expensive to machine. That's fair. But just as, you know, when I just look at how much things are, that's a lot to pay for a quadcopter frame. You got to really want that. Anyway. Crom, you owe me 50 cents. You owe me 50 cents. Anybody who makes a purple quad owes me 50 cents. Period. That's a fact. I'm going to trademark. Can you trademark a color? Oh, apparently you can't.
I think you have to make a color. Can't you make? You can like make a color, right?
Hamlin Indigo Blue.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Was it? For real?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Me and my wife were watching Better Call Saul. We saw this thing on Reddit where you watch all of Better Call Saul until it reaches the point of Breaking Bad. Then you stop and you basically watch all of the Breaking Bad / Better Call Saul content in story order, in chronological order of the story, not of order of release. We were like, let's do it. Because we had watched Breaking Bad and loved it, but we never watched Better Call Saul. And we just tonight watched the season finale. No spoilers! I will ban you from the chat if you spoiler me. We just tonight watched the season finale of season 5, which is the second to last season. So we're super excited about that. But yeah, Howard and his Ham Indigo Blue.
I think a lot of people haven't heard about it, so I'll just mention it. Vince Gilligan, who created Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, has a new show out on Apple TV called Pluribus. Mm-hmm. You should watch it. Don't look anything up about it. Nobody in chat say anything about it. Just go watch it. It is.
You will get
good.
banned. We'll just ban you. Don't do it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that, and I will be going in cold. I've heard good things about it. Have you watched it? I assume you have.
Yes, I'm caught up in theorizing constantly.
Yeah. I am. The way that we like to watch the show is, so we watch the episode of Better Call Saul, and then my wife gets on Reddit and watches the original release thread from the episode way back when the show first aired. And so it's kind of like getting in a time machine because people are talking about and of course the thread isn't locked. People have still gone on to talk about it, but like you can sort of see how people reacted to it at the time and they hadn't watched the whole show, and it's like kept spoiler free. It's interesting. We're just getting to the pandemic. And so it's also kind of interesting to be sort of working your way through these time capsules and seeing, how people talk about the show and talk about the world, the real world around the show. Pluribus is not related, and this is not a spoiler. Blunty, I believe what I've read is that it is not related to either Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. It is a completely separate story. Is that correct?
Basically, it's just Ray Seahorn is basically the only connection, and then obviously Vince and his team are making the show. But Ray Seahorn is the person who plays Kim Wexler in Better Call Saul, and that's who's the main person.
But she is not playing
Kim
Wexler.
Correct. She's not playing Kim Wexler.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, you should go in knowing nothing. So just go watch the show knowing nothing because it's very good.
I would like to wait until the first season comes out. That way I can watch the whole first season. I don't have to wait. And I can also read the Reddit thread. So afterwards we can read the discussion and go, oh, did you think of this? You know?
Yeah,
of course
I like the week-to-week discussion. Like, I watch different podcasts with people talking about the show, and I watch reactions to the show, and I think about, like, the thoughts about the show, and we all try to figure out what's going to happen next week. And, like, that's my favorite part about Severance. That's why I've watched Severance. I love it. So
Yeah, fair. I watched season 1 of Severance on your recommendation and liked it, but I didn't watch season 2. I found season 1 to be just a little too ponderous is the word that's coming to me. Like, season 1, I felt like it didn't have enough. It had too much setup and not enough payoff. You know? There were some payoffs. And it was clear, like, if you look at a show, like, if you think about a show like Lost was just setup. And by the time you got to the end, you'd had some payoffs, but it didn't feel very intentional. Whereas Severance felt very intentional, but just very slow paced. And go ahead.
There's a Stephen King quote. I'm trying to find it. But basically the gist of it is, like, part of the reason why you like a horror story is because there's, like, an underlying mystery, and you're trying to figure out who the killer is and who's he going to kill and how people are going to get away and all this stuff. And the story's essentially over once you know. So I think there's something to the fact of shows like Lost or shows like Severance or shows, these, what I would call the puzzle box shows, or whatever Damien Lindelof called it, the Lost guy. Like, you don't necessarily need all the answers. Some of the answers can be filled in by the people. Some of the answers can be filled in over time. And then eventually you solve some of the mysteries and you present more mysteries, and you sort of roll that through. And I feel like Lost delivered that perfectly over 6 seasons. Some people hated it. Some people thought it was way too long. Some people didn't think it delivered properly. But I thought Lost was amazing personally. So I'm a big fan of those kind of mystery box shows.
For me, so, like, I can appreciate a movie or a show where the point is to sort of lay out a mystery, and it's like, I'm not going to give you the answers. I'm going to stimulate your thoughts, and, like, you decide what it all means. I can appreciate that. It has to be done very well, though. And I think that if you set up a mystery with the implication that you're going to pay it off, then you need to pay it off. Like, if I'm watching a show, like when the first time I watched Mulholland Drive, the only time I watched Mulholland Drive, the David Fincher, not David Fincher, David Mamet, no,
Fincher
David
is
Lynch,
7, right?
Lynch, David Lynch. The first time I watched Mulholland Drive, I didn't know anything about Lynch as a director, and I didn't know anything about Mulholland Drive as a movie. And I went in thinking that it was going to have some narrative structure. And so the whole time Mulholland Drive was like just dream world mind fucking me. I was like, okay, any minute now it's going to turn the corner and we're going to find out what all this means. And of course it ended, and it just continued to mind fuck me. And I felt very betrayed. And whereas if I had known what I was getting into going into it, I could have had a different mindset. And so I felt like Severance, the implication was that it had some payoffs. And so I was like, okay, when you set up a mystery, you're going to pay it off for me. I want you to pay it off now.
The question is, why do you like? That's an assumption by the viewer. That's what I'm saying. The show never says it's going to explain anything. The show could be set in this universe and never anything ever gets explained. Like, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But I also think that you could live in a world and just not say anything about it. Like, and they do say plenty about it. I'm just saying, I think there's room in there to have mystery and extra stuff. And there's like all these edge pieces. Like, I personally have a giant Severance mind map where I've drawn lines between everything and I have notes about each part of each episode and I know where each reference is. And I've caught 2 mistakes the show's made so far. But other than that, every single thing links up and is perfect. And to me, like, they're creating a universe that's real. Whether they decide to answer everything or not, like, I can feel all the pieces, and I know in the writer's room they have sticky notes that explain everything, and I know they know. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, I like that too. It's one of the things I loved about Dark, which was another show that I think you recommended to me. I'm not sure. Did you recommend Dark to me? Did I find it on my own? Or
No,
you
tried to get me to watch Dark, and I haven't watched it yet.
Dark is another one of those shows where I've watched Dark 2 times all the way through, at least. And it's another one of those shows where it's very clear that the writers had everything mapped out from the beginning. There was no, oh shit, we wrote ourselves into a corner, what do we do? Because they had the fucking outline, start to finish, so many details, perfect. And that's one of the beautiful things about watching it the second time is you're like, oh my God, in episode 1, they already knew that something was going to happen in season 3, and they're already telegraphing it. It's like, oh, such a work of art, an artifice. I think what I would say about Severance is I guess it just didn't interest me enough that the world itself sucked me in and made me want to keep watching. I wanted the payoff of the mysteries. I wanted an answer to a question and another question gets raised. I wanted something and I just didn't get enough of that. And the world itself wasn't enough to sort of keep me engaged, I guess. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you felt that way about season 1, season 2 does more of that. So it's okay.
Yeah. You didn't watch Dark though, huh? I tried to get you into it. It implies that you didn't get into it.
Yeah, I watched like half of 1 episode or something. Maybe the full first episode. I can't remember.
You got to do better. You got to do better than that. You got to get a little better than that. Like episode 3, maybe. Anyway, whatever. Sure. Yeah, my wife watched Lost. I didn't watch Lost. She was big into Lost, and she said when Lost ended, she felt so betrayed. And then she saw the director Lindendorf, whatever his name is. What's his name?
Damon Lindelof.
Say it again.
Lindelof.
And he was like, well, sometimes there's a mystery. And she was like, F you. You just didn't know how to write the ending. You just wrote yourself into too many corners. You couldn't come up with an ending. You wrote a shitty ending, and you were just like, it's a mystery. Ah. And there was another show that we started watching, and as we finished like the first episode, she was like, wait a minute, is this Lindelof? Oh no. She refuses to watch anything else he's done because she just doesn't trust that he'll suck her in, and then he won't pay it off. She'll be betrayed. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue. Super chats. Let's do some super chats. Isa-san P2X bricked my jumper T15 trying to do an update for time, and forums only help so much. Can't get a hold of jumper support. What should I do next? Oh my gosh. Thank you for $5. If you've bricked it, the answer is to put it into bootloader mode and reflash it. Gracious sakes. Excuse me. So, yeah, the answer is you got to put it into bootloader mode and flash it. I have flashing instructions, but I'm not sure whether they're enough to unbrick it. Usually you put it in bootloader mode by plugging in USB with the power turned off, and it boots up in bootloader mode. Some jumper radios have a separate bootloader button you need to press. Yeah, so here are specific instructions. T15. Jumper T15. Okay, so the jumper T15, there's a DFU button here. You're going to hold that button down, which I presume you already did if you're flashing it, but I don't know how you flashed it. Hold the DFU button, plug in, and then you should be able to flash it, and that flash should work. It should not, like, you shouldn't be able to brick it so thoroughly that flat button doesn't allow you to flash it and get it back. If that doesn't work, maybe your DFU drivers are screwed up. The done fugged up button. Yeah, I like that. That's good. The DFU button. Thank you, Crom, for €1. Thank you, Zrendeb123 for $5. Do you like the 2025 Darwin FPV Baby Ape 3 series? I do. I have an analog whoop, and I can't decide between the Baby Apes or a 5-inch like the Nazgul Eco. Hey, look, I would take a 5-inch over a Baby Ape any day. The Baby Ape is a good 3-inch, but I just like a 5-inch. As Blunty likes to say, I can be taught. It depends on where you've got to fly. Do you have somewhere to fly a 5-inch where you won't, piss off the neighbors or get in trouble? If so, take the 5-inch all day. Are you concerned about sub 250? Well, then take the 3-inch. If you need to fly somewhere where you're maybe in a park where potentially other people might be, the 3-inch is going to be a lot safer and a lot quieter. So. All right. Let's see here. Jackal wants to know, will my DJI Goggles 3 connect to the Enterprise grade 04 transmission systems? I have a DJI Matrice with an H3OT payload for mapping and inspection. It would be really cool to look through the FPV goggles. So the DJI Goggles 3 do connect to some DJI drones. I don't have the full list in front of me. You can see it in the DJI Goggles menu, though. I don't think the Matrice is in there. If we try to look up a compatibility chart, oh no, should I trust AI? DJI Goggles 3 are compatible with DJI Neo. Well, we've got Madstech here. DJI Neo, Avata 2, Mini 4 Pro, and Air 3 drones. That is it. Yeah, I don't think the Matrice is going to work. That's the Goggles 3, yes. Here is a Reddit thread, which also is not 100% accurate, but Mavic 3 and 4 from the DJI FAC. Which goggles can be used with Goggles 3? Avata 2, Air 3, Mini 4, etc. No. Matrice is a no-go. So, no, you kind of knew that was going to be the answer, though, didn't you? You knew. Angel Dust asks, you're probably so sick of this question, but should I invest in the new Ascent system or wait for other options? Well, here's the good news. The Ascent system is incredibly inexpensive to invest in. For less than $300, you could try it out. That's $200 for the goggles and another $50 for the camera and VTX, and God forbid you pay a tariff if it gets imported. I don't know about all that. So maybe that's worth a punt for you. If you're trying to set yourself up for the future, this is my one and only, then don't buy the Ascent system today because the future is too uncertain. Wait a year to 2 years, a year and a half maybe. They need to have here's what they need to do. There needs to be a higher powered VTX available, and there needs to be a standalone receiver or a set of goggles, although the goggles would be so expensive I probably wouldn't recommend them, that lets you use it. If there's a high-powered VTX, like 1 watt or higher, that's made for like a 5-inch or 7-inch and not like this little 1S VTX that's clearly made for micros, then I might say, okay, give it a try. But the other thing is the performance is like still... I wouldn't use it as my daily just based on my experience flying the Caddx Proto system. The latency was unacceptable. There were aspects of it that were way better than expected. The range was way better than expected for 100 milliwatts. The image was much more stable and predictable. The walk snail system, when it starts to break up, you get this sort of wavy, smoky smearing going across the screen, and it can make it looks like there's image there, but there isn't, and then you'll fly into something you didn't see coming. I didn't get that impression. I thought it was a big improvement in how the image broke up as the image got weak. I thought it was much better, but the latency was a deal breaker for me. What do you think about the Flywoo 04 Lite with the 04 Pro style camera kits for like $132 right now. It's tempting. Flywoo has one of those on the way to me. I'm going to try it out. The 04 Lite is a pretty good video transmitter. Like, obviously, it doesn't have the same range as the 04 Pro. It doesn't have the same performance as the 04 Pro. But the bass, I like, if you were to release an 04 Lite 3 years ago, you would have freaking loved it. The fact that the 04 Pro has raised the bar so high, you look at the 04 Lite and go, oh, but it doesn't do 4K. Or, it only has whatever output power, it has less range. The performance is more than acceptable. The camera has always been the weak spot. The camera is fragile and it has a very narrow field of view. So this Flywoo system could really make the 04 Lite a lot more palatable. I won't know until I try it, though. Do you guys know of a decent way to use the Bluetooth configurator for SpeedyB flight controllers via Windows instead of the phone app? Thank you, Moash, for a question. And Moash, thank you for being a patron and joining the Discord server. If you guys want to join the Discord server, you can sign up to Patreon. There's a link in the video description below. Love to have you as a supporter for as little as $2 a month, or more if you feel like I've earned it. I don't. I am pretty sure that you can do. Can you do it with built-in Bluetooth, or do you need a serial to Bluetooth module for your Windows computer? Like, if I just go to the configurator, I don't know the answer. I'll just try and figure it out and make it up as I go. It's been my whole life. Sometimes I'm even right. I can't find my Bluetooth device. Yeah, I mean, it sure seems like if I was to... It sure seems like that, like you could do it, right? Here in the configurator, I can't find my Bluetooth device, and there's a list of Bluetooth devices. I don't think I have a SpeedyB flight controller to test.
Be clear. Doesn't that SpeedyB Bluetooth have to use SpeedyB's app or no?
No, so the SpeedyB flight controller just has MSP on a Bluetooth UART.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anything can connect to it.
Because the chat is saying BlueStacks. So BlueStacks is like an Android emulator you can run on your computer that you can run the SpeedyB app inside of. But if it does just connect like that would be great.
The thing is, I don't know how it like pairs up. Like if I go to Bluetooth settings, connect a new device. I got a SpeedyB flight controller plugged. I just happen to have it in my desk. Choose the type of device, Bluetooth. Let's see if I can find it. Because you don't have to pair the SpeedyB Bluetooth module. It just works. Oh, SpeedyB F405V3. Can I connect? It doesn't seem like it's going to work. Okay. Okay, that's not working. What if I do... I can't find my Bluetooth device. SpeedyB F405V3. If this works, are you going to be so happy? It won't work. It's not going to work. Hello? I've messed it up. Come on. SpeedyB F405V3 pair. Connect. There you go. I guess that's how you do it. It's working. Just like that. How do you do it? I don't know. You just that. Do you know of a way to use the Bluetooth configurator for SpeedyB flight controllers via Windows instead of the phone app? Yeah, you open the configurator and you find the Bluetooth button and you click it and it just works right out of the box. I didn't think it was going to work. I honestly didn't. That's actually badass. That's actually badass. Does the CLI work? I bet it doesn't. No, shut up. No, the CLI doesn't work over Bluetooth. No, it doesn't. Does it? Shut up. Shut up, it does! Wait a second. Am I cheating? It is I plugged it in. Okay, hang on. Okay, hang on. I plugged it in over USB just to power it up, not thinking about the fact that that also was plugging it into USB. But I didn't connect via USB, did I? You saw it. Hang on. I got another plug here. This is just a USB charging adapter for my phone. This is not plugged into the computer. Okay. SpeedyB powered up. Find my Bluetooth device. SpeedyB F405V3 paired. Pair. And connect. Connect. Yeah, okay, it's working. Does the CLI also work? Over Bluetooth? I guess it does because the SpeedyB app works. Oh, but I always do the... No, it works. Holy shit. You can't flash though, right? No, you definitely can't flash.
The rest of the config is just applying the CLI anyway, right? Basically.
Yeah,
so.
But the rest of the configurator is MSP protocol. The configurator is a serial link. So, like if you do Betaflight over ExpressLRS, the CLI doesn't work because it doesn't pass the serial connection, only passes the MSP packets. So I thought there was a chance that but Bluetooth is basically just a serial connection anyway. Yeah. Wow, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that you could do that, and now I do. And now I'll probably never do it again, but it is kind of cool and good to know. And Moash, I hope you're still watching. This question was from the beginning of the live stream. Seldom do I knock it out of the park so definitively and with so little effort. I really did not know that was going to work. I was completely ready for it to fail, and I'm so delighted that it worked. Blunty, we know that Blunty's audio is garbled. We don't know why. And it's just going to keep happening, so just deal with it. Sorry, guys. That was great. I want to just finish the live stream right there. Just go out on that note. But I won't. Let's see. Tornok. Oh, I don't know the answer to your question, Tornok. I clicked on it and I want to acknowledge it, but I don't know the answer, so we're going to move on. Where can I buy replacement lenses, screens, and optic modules for a replacement for the HD0 goggle or Fat Shark? I'm planning on building my own goggles. I have no idea, man. Fat Shark, from what I've heard recently, good luck getting them to answer a phone call. So I think that's a dead end. And then HD0, why would they sell you optics modules for HD0 goggles so you can make your own goggles? Like, typically, they don't sell spare parts. I mean, they might send... I've heard of them sending out, like, a board for you to replace or something. But generally, for something like that, they're not going to just send them to you. They're going to have you send your goggles in, and they're going to repair them for you. So, I think you have to find your own optics modules. Once upon a time... Once upon a time, no, the word FPV is screwing it up. Once upon a time, I could find optics modules on Alibaba. I'm not finding them now. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I can find the displays, but not the actual full optics modules. They are out there. You can find them. but it's tricky. What if I just type Fat Shark? No. Nope. So I don't know about that. Yeah. Yeah. This isn't what you want for sure. Yeah. Brendan asks, I bought a set of DJI Goggles 3. The lenses are out of focus. The -2 setting is where the other set I have is at 0. Any way to fix or repair them? I mean, you could open them up. I don't know of this issue and know of a fix to this issue. Maybe the focus adjustment is, the knob got busted in some way and the knob is off. I also don't know why DJI isn't responding to you about a repair. Are you in the United States and DJI isn't it won't do repairs for people in the US?
They canceled DJI Care a few months ago. So
I mean, if you have a defective, like here's what I would do is I would go back to the store that you bought it from. That's what I would do. Is there a US-based repair center? I don't. Everybody I know with DJI Care sends them off to China, right? I don't know. I don't know DJI Care. Why is it I can buy a DJI Neo but not an 04 Air Unit Pro? Good question.
Because there's no 04 Air Unit Pros in the world. That's the reason.
Yeah,
it's not a US thing.
But why? Why can't DJI make the 04 Air Unit Pro? Why aren't they making them? It's very weird.
A DJI Neo seems like a super mainstream product, and an 04 Pro seems like a secondary product. That's all that I mean.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The Roborito says, if you just need to adjust the focus knob on the G2, you don't need to take the goggles apart. It's just an Allen bolt. That's good to know. So you can adjust the focus knob and maybe get it back where you want it to be. Where is this Allen bolt? Do I have my G2 handy? Oh, I see. Very interesting. Are you saying... hang on one second. Oh, man. We're going to have 2 useful and complete answers to an obscure question that I didn't think I knew the answer to. Well, in this case, it's Roborito who knows the answer, but that's fine. So, if we look right here... If we look right here, you can see there's an Allen screw right there. I think what Roborito is suggesting is that you just loosen this and then you can turn the knob and readjust the center of the knob however you need it to be. Well, this is the lock. I don't know. Maybe you want to play with that. Maybe that would be useful. Why can we not achieve the same flight time with DIY drones, like 30 minutes and 8 miles, like DJI drones can? 2 reasons. First of all, you absolutely can get 30-minute flight time and 8 miles from a DIY drone. You just have to build one that can do that. You could do that. That being said, DJI drones are exceptionally well engineered. And they're just DJI. They're just very, very good at what they do. It's like asking Why is Kobe Bryant so good at basketball, but whenever I get on the court, I just get fouled on all the time and don't shoot any baskets? He's just very good at basketball, right? I don't play basketball. That was a hypothetical, right? So part of the reason is you can build a drone that flies 30 minutes. It's totally doable. Just most of the hobbyists don't build one. They're just trying to build something that goes fast, and they're not all that concerned with flight time. Robert's comment, I'm going to approve that comment. Robert's comment says, I have a 10-inch that can go for 30 minutes, and YouTube was like, that seems sketchy to me. Yeah. That's the answer. They're just very, very good at making drones. So.
Also, just to be clear, like that 30-minute drone at 8 miles can't do the same things your drone can do.
Right. It's not a freestyle acro racing drone. It's a Prius.
Yeah, like that's the important thing to remember is like you said, you can build a drone that can do these things. It's just very specific. You're building it in a certain way, like you're doing it so that you're not having all the other advantages of the drone you're building now. The DJI FPV drone had like 16 minutes in a hover for a reason, right? It's like built differently.
I will say, like if I were to build a drone that could fly for 30 minutes, it would not be as light as DJI. It would not be as efficient. DJI, you have to acknowledge that DJI is very good at what they do, right? So you're not going to build a drone that is the same price, the same weight, and the same flight time and range as DJI. It's not going to happen. They're going to beat you on 2 or 3 of those metrics. But you can match them by giving up. Like I'm gonna give up on weight, and I'm gonna spend a lot more money because I'm building one. So it's gonna be a bigger, heavier drone, but it'll go for 30 minutes. Great.
And it says, how does DJI make their drones so light? Because they're made out of plastic.
They're made out of plastic, and they're extremely refined. Like a DJI drone has plastic exactly where it needs it to be and nowhere else. They're just very good at designing these products. Yeah. Let's see here. What do you think of the new Darwin FPV Baby Ape 3 series? Do you like the 2-inch, 3-inch, or 3.5-inch more than the others? I will say, usually of those choices, I will take 3.5 inches. If I care about the 250 gram limit, I might go down to 3 inches. So here's the Pro V2. I'm a fan of the Baby Ape, though. Pro V3. Is that the one? Is it really $100? Sheesh. It's not going to be $100 by the time it gets to me. No, see, it's $156 because I'm in the U.S. Sucks to be me. I mean, it's great to be an American, or at least I know I'm free, and my health insurance just went up by 60%, but at least I don't have to eat poutine. I'd take the 3.5. I think 3.5 inches is the sweet spot where you still have the sort of lightweight, carefree attitude of a micro, but you have a lot of the agility and performance closer to a 5-inch. 3 inches is good, but 3.5 is better. What does that mean? Julius99T. Can you talk about front power ports set up with iNav's accelerometer? I'm intrigued. I have no idea what you're talking about. What is the iNav front power port? I think AI is hallucinating here. see it's gone to the ports configuration. Front power port. What is it? I don't know. Yeah, I think that's made up. The GPS port? What does that have to do with the accelerometer? It's the fact that I have no idea what you're talking about that makes me intrigued. Because maybe I'm going to learn something new about INAV. What does it have to do with the accelerometer? Okay. Well, I guess we'll never know. The 7-inch goes in the front port. Okay. Malo FPV says, I just bought the Vista and the G2, the Goggle V2. What should I do first in order to have 8 channels, custom OSD, and 1200 milliwatts? Well, I bet you that if I go back to my 2023 beginner build series, I do the V2 goggles.
This video is part of a series where we build an...
Yeah. 03. Damn, I don't. Okay. When was the last one? 2021? Where's the oldest one? There it is. 2022. Okay. Where's the playlist? Configuration and setup. Oh, I put them all in one video. Huh. Let's see here. Where's my... Activate VTX goggles and controller. Is it the V2 though? I think it must be. Here's the Vista. Yeah, buddy. And the V2. Okay, so what I would say is go to, here we go. I'm going to give you a timestamp. And I believe I show how to unlock as well. Do I? Controller setup, OSD, and aux modes. I must show how to unlock here. Let's see. I don't want to send you here if I don't show you how to do it. Activate VTX goggles and controller. Firmware update. Binding. Update. No, I don't. Damn. Okay. Custom OSD, huh? Okay. So the problem is you're going to need to unlock them, but also you're going to need to put WTFOS on them. I believe this is the tutorial you want. So this tutorial will get WTFOS on them. Except, I think... Yeah. This is probably the tutorial I'd send you to. I think they took away the super pack and they got rid of... did they get rid of butter? I don't know about that. This is probably the video I would send you to. Betaflight HD OSD with DJI Walkstill and HD0, how to set up That's going to show you how to route the goggles. Oh, no, that's Betaflight 4.4. Don't do that. It's changed. Damn. Well, all the old tutorials for the V2 goggles are going to be with the older version of Betaflight. Well, would it be this one? Yeah, this is probably the best tutorial. DJI V2 Goggle Betaflight HD OSD start to finish guide. So that, and then you're also going to need here. Madstech has a video about the V2 goggles with the 1200 milliwatt hack. So I would send you to that video. And that is where you should go in order to... Why is it so dark, Madstech? And that's where you should go. What's with your lighting, dude? In order to do the... So first do the FCC and 1200 milliwatt hack. It doesn't take this long. Why is it a freaking 15-minute video? You just put 2 files on an SD card, blah, blah, blah. And you're done. Yeah. And then this is how you get the OSD working. Okay. Hopefully that has been helpful, and we'll get you going the right direction. Is the HD0 Box Pro worth the price? It seems good for $300. In the US, it's like $350. Well, everything is more expensive in the US. You have to take that into account. Okay? So, you know, the $350 feels like a lot because you haven't recalibrated to what everything else costs. It used to be a set of analog goggles was $300. Now they're all $350. So the Box Pro is no more expensive than it was. It's just you're paying $50 more straight into the government's pocket. Yeah. So there you go. If you can get something into the U.S. without paying the tariff, you could save a little money, though, which is sometimes possible. You do not need to downgrade first. Do not downgrade. Don't do anything. Just do the FCC hack and do the FCC and the 1200 milliwatt hack. Then do the WTF OS install.
Oh, well, just to be clear, you have to downgrade the Vista, right? He says he's
Has he got his Vista on 1.x?
He says his latest firmware and everything, right? Did I misread
Oh, yeah, no, you have to downgrade. I'm sorry. Thank you. The Vista ships with 0600 or 0606 firmware on it. If you updated the firmware to 1.x, that's your problem. Once you go past the firmware ending in 0606, you cannot bind to the V2 goggles anymore with the Vista. You can only bind to the G2 and the Integra. So you need to roll your Vista back to the firmware ending in 0606. That is
You
correct.
don't have to use butter. If you want to install WTFOS, you can use butter.
Well, he has to install WTFOS to get the OSD working.
Yes, if you want to do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I've never rooted my V1 goggles, so that's why I mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, you don't have full OSD. Isn't that annoying?
No, I don't care.
Well, you're a curmudgeon.
It's just, I don't need it, you know.
I want full OSD. Is there any reason why DJI couldn't enable G3 use with Vista? They don't want to. It would cost them effort. Like, theoretically, could you do it in the code? Maybe. I mean, there's 2 generations of hardware between them. It might not even be possible. So. Yeah. Oh, we got 15 minutes left in the stream. Oh my gosh. Blunty, are questions? I don't see questions being queued. Are questions not coming in? Or is my queue not working?
A lot of them are copies from earlier, so the question's already in the queue somewhere.
Gotcha. Let's take this one from You're Not My Dad. I'm going to my very first whoop race Sunday with basically no experience. I'm rocking an Air 65. Any tips? Don't power up in the pits and blast people's video. And practice changing channels so you can get on the channel you're assigned to without too much trouble. And then just have fun. Race your own race. Don't stress about winning. Just don't try to go fast. Just do your best. You know, try to finish. Don't go so fast you crash out. It's not fun. Yeah, that would be my advice. What do you think of the new HDMI Divimath VTX? It's cool. It's cool. HDMI into a FPV video transmitter with 1 millisecond latency. There are some interesting use cases for that. I think the one that interests me the most is the potential to do video output from like a DSLR or cinema camera and then monitor it with the HDMI. That's pretty slick. Is there an easy way to stop blurring in dimmer lighting on analog? No, you just need more lighting or a more sensitive camera. So you need a camera with more sensitive sensor, like a Runcam Night Eagle, or you need more light. When I use an ELRS receiver on my Tiny Whoop, it completely interferes with the video reception. Anything I can do? Yes, turn off telemetry. In the ExpressLRS Lua script, set the telemetry ratio to off. And it's probably the telemetry transmissions that are causing the issue. You won't get telemetry, but I think it'll fix your video. We got a question here from Marine HM, who says, taking into account other factors, when selecting battery size, like 1000, 1350, etc., when I started out for weight to efficiency ratio, your battery shouldn't be no more than 1/3 of the total weight, the all-up weight. Yes, that's a rule of thumb for an FPV drone. For a long-range drone, it can go higher. But that is a good rule of thumb. For like a racing drone or freestyle drone, the battery is about 1/3 of the all-up weight, or half of the dry weight.
FYI, that's Nick Sebring's new handle.
Oh, is that Nick Sebring? Marine HM?
Yes.
What was he getting into the boat world? What happened?
I don't know. I checked his channel though, and it's Nick's. So.
Huh. Nick Sebring. Oh, that's the wrong Nick Sebring. Is it? No. This is a different.
I don't think it is. Is it?
It's a different.
Oh, that's a random.
It doesn't look
but
like
he's a
his
mod in your
content.
channel.
Marine HM. That is him. Is he? Where are all his FPV videos? Also, that doesn't look like Nick Sebring, does it? Is this old stuff?
No, you haven't modded in your channel. I assume you know him. And then I went to his channel and saw his name was Nick Sebring. I'm like, well, that person has to be a mod for a reason. So I made the two connections.
Yeah. Oh, how about that? Oh, no. No, okay. I'm bad with names today. I was thinking of Nick Burns. There we go. Okay, I'm square now. That's Nick Sebring. Yeah. All right, he's Marine HM. Good for him. I just, David Mamet, David Lynch, Nick Sebring, Nick Burns. Same thing. Let's see here. I have an older Emax 2-inch that uses the F3 Magnum Mini. Gosh, I remember that flight controller. And that flight controller was freaking annoying because it only had like one UART pad. It was really hard to wire up the receiver. I think you're screwed just based on my memory of how hard it was to get the receiver onto this thing because it's so small. It has like an S-bus pad. Now the good news is you're not screwed yet. Yeah. Let me find the manual for this flight controller if I can. It's the F3 though. That's the F4, F3 Magnum manual. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so if I remember right, there are hardly any UARTs for this stack. You basically have this UART for the receiver. Is that it? So what you're going to need to do they even give you TX3? No, I don't think they do. I've run into this, yeah. So what you're going to need to do is set your ExpressLRS receiver to output S-bus. Or you could have it output Crossfire and put the TX... Okay, that's what I would do. Put the TX pad from the receiver to RX3. Not the S-bus RX3, which has an inverter on it. That won't work. But they also give you the regular uninverted RX3 for Spectrum. Put the TX pad from the receiver onto RX3 and you will get Crossfire into the flight controller. You will not get telemetry though because there's no TX3. That's what I would do. Yes, there isn't a TX3. That flight controller, they were like, what do you need UARTs for? We're just going to make a tiny flight controller with only the one thing that we give you. Ooh, got a super chat just came in. Thank you so much, Joshua Banner, for your donation. What do you think of the Spider Sora? I probably hate it. It's $93. All right. 6S sub 250 grams. Intriguing. Sub 250 grams. Was it 3-inch? Those look like bigger than 3-inch props to me. Oh, huh. 9 minutes of longer sustained power. Oh, so this is a bind and fly. It's a bind and fly? No, it's a frame. With a motor. What do we got here? At 1404, 2900 kV. 6S optimized powertrain. A powerful sub 250 gram 6S powertrain. I mean, you 1404, 2900 kV. Powerful, optimized. Super fast stick response, instant punch outs, and locked in stability. Allow you to, marketing just gives me a fucking headache. Sora tune and build guide. We sent Sora to a professional pilot who confirmed her performance and results. Months of rigorous testing on our PIDs. Okay. Oh, okay. Now I'm intrigued. Exploded view. I'm all about that. Yeah. TPU damper for the rear pod? So this is where you should. Yeah, now you got me interested. Don't show me marketing BS. Don't tell me about your explosive punch-outs. Just show me an exploded diagram. Very interesting. Oh, nice. So the damper, there's a damper between the electronics and presumably the camera and the motor plate. That's slick. The motors are on a single plate with crossbars. So the crossbars are removable. The braces are removable. That's nice. Sometimes you don't want those. And then the whole, oh, that's really nice. See, okay. So we've got this single plate for the motors, and then the whole body is separated from it by these TPU dampers. That's really slick. Okay. That's really slick. That's really slick. This gives better vibration isolation and better tuning, presumably. That's really slick. I dig that. Very cool. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like I've answered this question 8 times in the last 3 live streams, and I just don't want to do it again. What goggles should I buy? I was thinking DJI, but now DJI is banned. Do we have a live stream clip for this yet, Blenty?
Yeah, I believe we have multiples, I think.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to answer that question anymore.
It's tough because we answer it in different ways every time. So, like, yeah. I was just thinking about that. So if you go back...
Let's see, videos. So this is Joshua Bardwell live stream clips. It's my live stream clips channel. Surely. Bardwell hurt his back moving fat from a freezer. 1,000 views. Nice. DJI versus analog for long range. Activating DJI after the ban. Yep, DJI ban instant 7,000 views. DJI will be banned soon. What's the alternative? That's the one?
Yeah, that's the video. Yeah.
Great. That's the one. Go watch that video. Here we go. Boing. There you go. That's the one. Sorry, Ali P. You don't know. You didn't know, but like we really just have answered that one so many times. Kind of tired of hearing myself talk about it. Yeah, we'll pin that. Pin that. That's an interesting idea, Kilo Foxtrot. We'll just take that question and like pin it to the top of the chat with a link. Any recommendations on a lithium-ion battery for a 5-inch freestyle drone? Yes. Upgrade Energy Reds. For a freestyle drone, the red is the only one you should consider. Well, you could... Yeah, the reds are the one you should consider. Probably this 6S1P. Let's see how many amps it's rated for. Discharge power, discharge current, 60 amps. Yeah, cell spec, 60 amps. That'll do. These reds are okay for freestyle drones. If you don't do full throttle punch outs, but that'll get you 8 to 10 minutes on a 5-inch. I think so. I think pretty convincingly. That's what I would suggest. All right. That is going to bring us to the end of the stream. We are not going to be here next week. Wait. No, this next weekend, we're not going to be here. I'm going to be out of town. So everybody have a good Thanksgiving. And we'll be back the week after that for more live streams through December. Any thoughts on a company that is US based that can even come close to DJI for video? Any thoughts on a US based FPV video company? Stop, full stop. No one in the world comes close to DJI for video. So never mind US based. And as far as I know, the only US based companies are making analog VTXs. So yeah. All right. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for coming out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.